Right, so this morning on a driving lesson, my learner and I had to drive past a very, very nasty road traffic collision. It was on the A47, just by a slip road as you join from the A146. And the first thing I'd say is, obviously, I hope everyone involved is okay. There are a number of people that have been taken to Norfolk and Norwich Hospital for further care, so hopefully, look, no one's killed. There are going to be some serious injuries from this, unfortunately. If you look at the van, it has been hit from the rear with such force that it's actually been pushed up onto its front. People will have to be cut from vehicles, so unfortunately, look, there's going to be some pretty nasty injuries there. I think the thing I said to my learner was, obviously, first of all, got to hope everyone's okay, and then I said, that's what full license holders are capable of, and I stand by it. It's half the people on the roads cannot drive, and I honestly am going to explore that more today. The incident, now, I don't like to speculate too much because there could be medical, mechanical things involved, but 90% of incidents being attributable to human error and our attitudes to the road, that's much more likely, especially with it being by a slip road. But I can guarantee that that incident is absolutely avoidable, and this is the thing I find so frustrating as a driving instructor, watching all these idiots drive around me, zombie driving without a thought in the world. Driving needs your full attention at all times, and if you don't get that, hand your license back in. You are a danger to other people. So what I'm going to be looking at in this video is the 4 very simple things that could actually prevent a lot of, certainly that incident, and they're so simple, it hurts me. It hurts me. I'm going to be looking at that learner. When we got back to his house, we came past this live vehicle with someone inside it, and it moves slightly, and then it obviously sees us and stops, and we go past it. Now, a lot of people will look at that and go, well, that's nothing, but it isn't. It really isn't. That is everything, okay? That in itself explains why this sort of thing happens. Bear with me on it. If you've got the patience, it's going to be a rant, and I'm going to explain why so many people do not take road safety seriously enough. So first things first, how could the incident be avoided? And again, we're not trying to speculate too much, but it's pretty obvious what's probably happened. So when I join a dual carriageway or a motorway, it is not my priority to do so. I don't understand how so many people don't get this. I am going to cross a give way line into traffic flowing at potentially 60, 70 miles an hour. So yes, on the slip road, I need to build sufficient speed that can be easy, but it is not my priority. So if I don't have a gap, I do not have the right to just simply fling myself onto the carriageway and hope for the best. The second thing, and I cannot believe how many people actually struggle with this, the best mirror to check is your center. So I can see that car's moved out, but in the center mirror, I can tell how far back the traffic is, and I can tell how quickly it is approaching me. In the right mirror, which shows me a smaller picture, I cannot tell that. So the amount of people that I see joining a dual carriageway, and I watch obviously learners do it, because it's to your right, you just want to look there, but you need to look there. You see on the slip road as I join, very early right mirror blind spot, I know nothing's close to me, so now almost the rest of my planning could be done in the center mirror. If I'm on this enough, I know exactly what's behind me. Exactly what's behind me, and I technically could change lanes using just the right-hand mirror. But I'm actually, when I change lanes, I of course use both. So if I'm going to plan a lane change, I'm going to do most of my planning here. And how many people do you see on a carriageway or motorway that have very clearly just had a quick look in the right mirror, haven't realised that you're coming up pretty quick behind them, and they pull out in front of you? If they spent the time planning here, and then before you go into the right-hand lane, you just have a little check in the mirror here, there's no problems. I could tell how far back that blue car was. I could tell it was not creeping up on me very quickly. Now on the other side, we are now passing where that incident was. Once I've overtaken, of course, I can see in the center mirror how far back that blue car is, and I just check the left just to make sure there's nothing close to me that I've missed. That center mirror is your third eye, and I watch full license holders driving, sometimes we do refresher lessons, etc., and there's almost nothing in that, and I'm checking it every few seconds as I drive. So the first thing that could have prevented the incident is joining correctly, realizing it's not your priority to join. The second thing that could have potentially saved the incident is people on the carriageway being aware enough in their center mirror and knowing that, like, for example, now I can see in my center mirror that silver car is moving alongside me. So if something was to happen in my lane, I know I can't move over to the right now. I know it's clear afterwards. So I already know when I can fit in and out of the right-hand lane, rather than zombie driving, which people are just looking forward, no planning whatsoever, and then they get caught out by something, and when we are surprised, we act poorly. If we've anticipated something, we act correctly. So zombie driving is horrendous, and too many of these people around me will be doing zombie driving. Oh, just past the sewage works and I forgot to close the vents. That's not good. Oh, that's strong today. YouTube, be glad you can't smell that. So we've looked at the first thing, which is joining, understanding the priorities. We've looked at the second thing, which is correct use of the mirrors, using your center mirror more to always know whether you could move to the right-hand lane or not. Now let's look at the third thing that absolutely could have helped to avoid this horrific incident. So we're going to be passing the slip road where this unfortunate incident happened this morning. Now, I've been checking my center mirror literally every few seconds. I've been seeing everyone that's overtaken me, and I know whether I can move out. Every time you pass a slip road that exits a dual carriageway motorway, almost always you will have then traffic joining. It's not their priority, but could you have people that don't understand that? Could you have people that make mistakes? Yes, you could. So the first thing is I need to be very aware of what's happening around me. Now I've got this absolute plum of a van who's sitting about 1 second behind me on a wet day, and that is another factor which we'll go into shortly. But I already know after this silver thing that passes me here, I can move over if I need to. So I can help people to join if I feel it's a nice thing to do. I don't have to pig-headedly say, no, my priority, I'm staying here. So I already know, look, it's looking still pretty clear for me to move over. And if it's busy, I'm not going to be surprised by that. It's not on this occasion. Look, I am restricted to times that I'm filming, and that is because I've got another lesson this afternoon, so I'm not able to come up here in the rush hour, which would be a bit more ideal. But I was already ready for that. I had a plan of, could I move over? If I can, yes, that's what I'm going to do. If I can't, I know how I'm going to respond. So when we're not caught out by things, we will react well. When we are surprised, that is when we get caught out. And when I passed that slip road and it was empty, that is a good surprise. The good surprise was that no one was trying to join. Done. Now, we mentioned the van. Look at that silver car. I was just been tailgating that van. This is one of the most important things. It's bloody following distance, and no one does it. You're taught by a driving instructor. When it's dry, don't get closer than 2 seconds when you're above 30 miles an hour. When it's wet, don't get closer than 4 seconds. And how many people, look at the other side of the carriageway, how many of those are employing anything like the 4-second rule today? That's learners about the only one doing it. Almost no one, literally almost no one. Now think about that. That was a 6-vehicle collision earlier. If 2 of them collided, 4 vehicles should not then plough into the back. Sorry, but you shouldn't. You should have enough distance between you that you're not going to do that. So those 4 things, even one of them could have halved the accident or prevented it. Like, it's just so frustrating to watch that sort of thing happen. I really feel it is. Now back to the point I mentioned that I'm going to talk about at the end, which is that this vehicle here, as we go to pass them, they start moving, then they see us, stop, and nothing further happens. Literally, people will watch this video. I mean, if you're still watching, you've probably got quite a good attitude to driving, or I've wound you up to the point where you feel you need to comment and say I'm wrong, whichever. But if you look at that, right? So I teach a learner, they're on the side of the road, they get the car ready, they check the center mirror, the right mirror, the blind spot. And if they're still happy in the center mirror, because again, that's our third eye, that's the main one, then they can decide to move the car off. This person here, if they check at all, starts moving before they've noticed us. Okay, that is their habit, that they probably just start to move. Oh, there's someone there, I'll stop. Now, you can literally look at that and think there's no problem. Put that person in a car at 70 miles an hour, you now have your problem. That person, that their habit is just to check as they move or check after they've started moving, is the type of person that creates that horrific incident that you've just seen. I'm not saying that it was caused by that, but that is the type of lapse in knowledge, understanding, skills, and attitude that leads to incidents. When a learner makes a mistake on a driving lesson, if it is safety critical, I will pull them over, and one of the first things I ask them is, why do you think that happened? Because we try and get learners to take responsibility for their own learning these days, and we try and get them to analyze their problems and how they can fix it. It's massive how we've changed driving tuition over the years. Once we've found that, we go over the consequences, what could have happened, and we go over the sorts of things like that. That is a consequence of not doing something correctly. What are you going to do differently to make sure that doesn't happen again? The learner comes up with a solution with my help if necessary. The reason we are so on it is because the smallest thing can lead to the biggest thing. If you have a habit of not doing a certain check, when it matters, you will not do that check. If you have a habit of being too close to the car in front of you, when it matters, you will be too close to the car in front of you. I'm chatting and still look at my distance from the vehicle in front. I'm nowhere near it because it's my habit to hold that. On a driving test, one of the worst things I hate hearing, either from learners, instructors, whatever it is, oh, it's only a driving fault. Sorry, what? It's only a driving fault. The reason they changed it, it used to be minors and majors. Now it is driving faults, serious and dangerous. The reason that's been changed is because minors makes it sound like it doesn't matter. Driving faults matter. Let's give you an example, okay? So, an example of a driving fault in the scenario that I've done today. I'm about to join the dual carriageway, and I've been really looking in my mirrors well, but before I joined, I didn't check a blind spot, okay? That would be put down as a driving fault. That would be very likely, anyway, put down as a driving fault. And at the end of the test, oh, well done, James, you passed your test. Only one driving fault. Oh, great. Now, an examiner very often doesn't say things like, oh, it was a really good drive, only one driving fault. They'll go, congratulations, you've passed. Yeah, I felt it was a good drive. There's one fault we'd like to talk about, because they know, they understand that driving faults matter. Think about that lack of a blind spot check that I've passed my test with. I'm now on the roads. I've passed. Woohoo! And I don't check my blind spot out of habit when I join a slip road. So the next time I don't check my blind spot, I might get away with it. I might get away with it for the next few years. And then out of that habit gets more. And then I don't check my blind spot, and suddenly there is something there, and I go straight into it. And I cause a 6-vehicle collision like we've seen today. That is why driving faults really matter. Any mistake that you make matters. Now, when a learner, one of the most common responses that learners give me when you say, why do you think that happened? Especially in the early days when they're a bit shy, a bit more wary of me, before they realize I'm on their side. Oh, I don't know. And that response makes a lot of certainly inexperienced driving instructors stop asking questions and now tell them the answers. You don't want to do that. You want to get the learner to identify the problems, okay? Now, any incident that is not down to mechanical or medical problems, you can put down to KUSA in exactly the same way that if a learner makes a mistake on a driving lesson, it can be put down to either just a whoopsie moment or KUSA, knowledge, understanding, skills, or attitude. This is like any skill you learn. It's so simple. But if you look at any incident, let's take the 6-vehicle collision, there is very likely a gap in someone's knowledge, understanding, skills, or attitude. Attitude would be a big one, why people are so close to each other. And therefore, 6 vehicles go into the back of each other rather than just the 2 involved. Understanding, that is the biggest lack of understanding I see in full license holders about their mirrors. Whenever they want to go right, they do all the planning in this mirror. Now that lorry, I cannot tell whether that's getting closer to me, how far it is. It takes me a lot longer to work it out. There I can see it instantly. I can see if it's getting closer. So that's a gap in the understanding that could again lead to these sorts of incidents. Knowledge and understanding about joining the dual carriageway, how it's not your priority to do so. That again can lead to this kind of incident. And the attitude in your concentration levels to not be aware of what's around you on a carriageway and to not be thinking about the people that could be about to join. That again can now you throw all of those 4 things together and you've got a horrific accident. You can have an incident with any missing one of those things, but you throw like all 4 in with people. I mean, think about it. The following distance and the anticipation that you're coming up to a slip road alone could prevent that. I'm sorry, but it can. So yeah, a bit of a rant, and I'm sure there'll be some people annoyed that I'm speculating on an incident. That's fine. It's my channel. Do what I want. Look, I'm not here to talk ill of people that have been injured and things like that, but it's so frustrating watching the attitudes around us and how they shape unfortunate incidents like that. Driving needs your absolute full attention at all times, and if you don't give it that, incidents start to happen. And think genuinely about these poor people involved in this incident today. The lives are potentially changed with the injuries, the mental scars, the financial implications. The consequences are horrendous. Horrendous. If no one's died, they are horrendous. And we should all be aspiring on every journey we go on. We should be aspiring to be the best drivers that we can be, displaying good knowledge, good understanding, good skills and attitude. And if you haven't got it, there's no excuse, because nowadays, how many YouTube driving instructors are there that can help you with that? My channel is out. Help if you want help. There's no excuse for it nowadays. But yeah, let me know in the comments, do you think I've missed anything that could have helped to prevent this horrific incident? Do you feel I'm spot on with some of the things that I've brought up? Do you agree with 2 wrongs? I mean, there is obviously always the odd incident that you cannot avoid, and everything you've done correctly, you can't help it. That's unfortunately sometimes how it goes. But almost all incidents can be avoided by one or more parties. So I look forward to hearing from you in the comments.